Welcome into Jungle Tales, a Pirate Baseball Podcast, Episode 18 and Episode 3 of On Deck as we get you ready for the Pirates' four-game week. On the East Carolina team will head to Bowie's Creek on Tuesday, but then this weekend, the traveling series with highly ranked North Carolina, the Tar Heels coming off a series sweep of Texas Tech at Boshemer Stadium on opening weekend. And right now to preview that matchup between the Pirates and Tar Heels, I'm very excited to welcome in the fifth-year head coach of North Carolina, and that is Scott Forbes. Coach, we appreciate your time today.
Absolutely. Glad to be here. I'm excited about the weekend. Obviously, we both have tough midweek opponents, but thanks for having me on today.
Yes, sir. The Pirates and Tar Heels, 5 o'clock, weather permitting, and we'll see and stay tuned to that and continue to check ECUPirates.com, for updates as well as social media. But as of right now, 5 p.m. on Friday at Clark LeClaire, 12:30 on Saturday at the DBAP, and 1 o'clock on Sunday at Boshemer Stadium. And Coach, before we dive into what transpired with your sweep of a very good Texas Tech team, just talk about where things are with your program entering year 5, far and away your best year as a head coach at North Carolina last year, going to the College World Series, and a lot of familiar names back.
Yeah, no doubt. Things are great. Having more fun than I've ever had. The kids keep you energized. It's been a new landscape that we've all had to navigate now with the transfer portal and NIL. So for me, I came in at the right time. My first year as a head coach was COVID-21. So that was, navigating that was enough in itself. But then throw in NIL and the transfer portal. I'm glad I came in as a head coach when I did, because I had to learn all that and had to adapt. Because if you don't adapt in that new world, you're going to get your tail whipped. So I'm having a blast, though. I have an unbelievable staff around me. And when you surround yourself with people that are so loyal and work so hard, it makes your job a lot easier. That's for sure.
One of the guys you surrounded yourself with, Scott Jackson, very familiar with Coach Jackson. I first became aware of him back in the day when he was at UNC Wilmington, had been on staff with yourself and Coach Fox, several successful seasons as head coach at Liberty, and now he had the opportunity to return to Chapel Hill. Talk about bringing Coach Jackson back on board.
Yeah, Coach Jackson and I go way back. We're very close. We're best friends. But that's not the only reason, obviously. I've known him for so long, and we worked together here at North Carolina. We actually coached together, I think it was 2000 for the Wilmington Sharks. So we go way back. I played against his brother in college. But Coach Jackson is an unbelievable human being, great man. And a great coach. And it's 8 years of head coaching experience, which, is very helpful to me, just talking through things, getting his opinion on things. Scott's a come early guy, leave late, old school worker. Nobody's going to outwork him, and adding that to our already great staff has helped tremendously. And it's allowed us to really change some duties and take a little bit off of certain people and divide it up, which has been exciting too. But for me, it's been really special to have him back in the dugout. It was cool this weekend just to have him right there beside me.
Looking at your team positionally, a lot of familiar names: Stevenson, Gallagher, Madera, Vanderbrake, Stokely, to name some. Tell us about those guys and what you saw from them on opening weekend.
Yeah, it's a mix. It's a mix of new guys from the portal, basically some freshmen mixed in there, and then some really good veteran returners. I was probably most proud of the fact that we found a way to win all 3 games against a really good Texas Tech team. I was really impressed with their overall team, especially on the mound. They threw some legit arms at us. And, our returners they helped us win for sure, but they didn't have to carry us. Luke didn't have his normal weekend. It's just a matter of time when he gets going. But they're all veterans. And most importantly, they're lockdown defenders. Steve's a plus defender behind the plate. Stokely's a plus defender at first base. Vanderbrake at second. Madera at short. And Gavin. So our infield is it's older, and they played a lot of games at this level in the ACC, which is a great feeling as a head coach. And then we have 3 new outfielders. They're older as well. So what stuck out about me was their leadership and their presence for our team, for sure.
We talk about some of those new pieces. Kane Kepley, we'll start there. The Liberty transfer, 5-hit weekend, a couple of 2-hit games. And I saw an unbelievable catch that he made.
Yeah.
Going over the wall in center field. It looked like Vance Honeycutt never left. But talk about that athleticism that Kane brings to the table and everything he offers your ball club.
Yeah, Kane's a different type player than Vance from the power standpoint, just a pure power, and he's a shorter player. He's not 6'4". And Vance is the best defender I've ever seen at the college level in center field. And I feel like I've coached against some great players, and we've had some great center fielders. But Vance is just, he's on another planet. But we feel like we got as good a center fielder off the portal as anybody in the country. He's an in-state kid. He loves the University of North Carolina. He came with Coach Jackson. He trusts Coach Jackson. But he's a heck of a player. He's made himself – he wasn't recruited. Liberty was his only offer. He's worked himself into one of the best players, in my opinion, not just in the ACC, but in the country. He's a table setter. He can steal bases. He can hit doubles, and he can hit home runs. I think he's got 10 to 15 home runs in him. And he's a leader, lead by example guy. I mean, he gets after it every single day. I won't have to say a word to that kid until he's gone. So we're so lucky that he chose UNC. And he had a good opening weekend. Early on, you could tell he was really amped up. And he went out of the zone a little bit. His best attribute is finding a way to get on base and then getting to second with a stolen base and then scoring. And he played a really good defensive center field, and he robbed a home run, which was ironic because a lot of people were saying, well, Vance is gone, and he is, but that was one heck of a play.
Junior college transfer Ron Kellis, and then also Division III transfer from Montclair State, Sam Angelo. They did some positive things on opening weekend. Tell us about each of those guys.
Yeah, our outfield, our lineup was transfer heavy besides those returners. Rom's one of the best junior college players last year in the country. Got power, caught and played first base. We've made him into a left fielder. He's a utility guy, but he's learned to play left field at a pretty good level for us. A lot of power, and he had a good weekend as well. It was ironic. I feel like this team's going to hit some home runs. I don't think we're going to hit 115 like we did last year, but we didn't hit one this weekend, still found ways to win. But Rom's one of those guys that if the ball hits his barrel, he's got a chance to go out of the park. Sam's the same way, probably the best Division III hitter the last 2 seasons in the country. Older guy, left-handed, smart player. But again, this is their first weekend playing for the University of North Carolina, so they had those nerves and they were extremely excited and probably went out of the zone a little more than what they had in the preseason. And then Tyson Bass, transferred from North Carolina Wesleyan, where I went and played for Coach Fox. He was their version of Vance Honeycutt, and his numbers didn't reflect the quote. I'm not a big batting average guy, but he had a good weekend for us, made some really good plays, got on base, didn't strike out a lot, made the pitcher work. So Kepley and Bass were tough on their pitchers and gave us really good at bats throughout the weekend, which helped us score and squeak out some runs.
Shifting over and taking a look at your pitching staff, obviously no secret what Jason DeCaro did a year ago. And then you had some adversity early last year with Jake Knapp going down. He was back. He threw 3 innings in game 1. And then Matthew Mateus, of the 7 relievers you used, he was the only one that saw multiple outings. What were your thoughts on your pitching staffs, and tell us about your rotation?
I tell you what, they were fun. They were really good. And most impressive, they just attacked the hitters. So credit to Coach Gaines and Coach Howell, who do all of our pitching. They had great presence on the mound. They made big pitches in big situations, and that's including freshmen. They fed off each other. This is a pitching staff that's talented and deep, and for it to maximize its potential, they're going to have to buy into their roles because they're all good enough to potentially be weekend starters at a lot of places, but they're not at a lot. They're here. And they look like this weekend they passed that test. And getting Jake Knapp back was huge for us, and Folger Boaz. Both those guys went down. And that's probably what I was most proud of about last season. Our guys banded together and still found a way to get to Omaha. But Jake's full tilt, full go. His pitch counts easing up. With the fact that we didn't know if we were going to play a third game, we just felt like it was going to be better to have Jake Knapp out of the bullpen for that doubleheader. But really, top to bottom as a staff, and we didn't even get Cam Padgett in there, some other guys that'll probably get in there against Kansas State. It's going to continue to work itself out as far as the roles, but I've been pleased with what I saw. The three freshmen, McDuffie, Seagraves, and Lynch, are special, and they threw extremely well. And I think what we'll do is get Knapp in the rotation moving forward. So I'll take him out of the bullpen, but he's a horse. He throws a ton of strikes, and he's a good guy for us to follow Jason DeCaro, we think, with.
Yeah, you mentioned Walker McDuffie, 3 2/3 of shutout baseball, and just surrendered a single hit, 5 strikeouts, and a walk in that second game, an 8-3 win over the Red Raiders. And Folger Boaz, who you referenced, coming off an injury, worked a hitless and scoreless inning, striking out the side in that one. But one of the things that stood out to me is just how each one of these games was a little bit different. You jumped on the Red Raiders and kept tacking on in the first 4 or 5 innings of game 1. And then the second game was a game that you kind of seized control of in the middle innings. And then game 3, it was 3-1 after an inning, but the game finishes 4-2.
Yeah. Texas Tech is good. And that's a team that's been to Omaha as much as anybody over the last 6-7 years. And they didn't make the tournament last year, but they were right on the edge. And they were really, they're good. And every arm that went out there, I thought could pitch for anybody, including us. So we knew it was going to be a battle. At the end of the day, I think the difference was we didn't beat ourselves. They made a couple mistakes defensively. We capitalized on those mistakes. And our pitching staff did a really good job of making it hard for them to score. We didn't give them extra outs. We responded when they scored, usually with the run of our own. But they have a really, it's hard to win on the road. And if we go to their place, it might flip a little bit, maybe not. But I think they have a really good team. They threw us. I like playing a team like that right out of the gate because, their pitchers are 92, 95. They got different looks. They got changeup, sliders, left-handers, so a lot of respect for that team, for them coming up here and finding a way to get 3 games in. And that series is going to make both of us better for sure.
You talk about not giving them extra outs, error-free in games 1 and 2. You did have 2 in the game, the series finale. But tell us about your team defensively and, what you bring to the table.
Well, you know what? It's the little things we talk about that make the big things happen. I know that may sound cliche to some people, but it is coaching 101. If you're not fundamentally sound defensively and you don't throw strikes and you give extra outs against good teams, they're going to capitalize. And that's what we feel like we do a good job of offensively, is if you give us an extra out, it happened. The catcher against us and third baseman didn't communicate. They didn't make a play in foul territory. Then Kane Kepley hits a double, and he scores a run. Same thing, for us. So we work. Our practice is all centered around the defensive side of the ball, and then offensively being able to generate a run if we need to. With the safety, with the suicide, with the sack bunt, with the hit and run. Because I tell our guys it's easy when it's easy, but when it's close, we got to find a way to get it done, and you're going to do that by defending a bunt, getting a big out defensively. If a mistake does happen, you got to get the next guy out to prevent the big inning. So it's those things that don't show up in the box score that are really the most important thing to having a consistent winning season, in my opinion.
Final question for you, Coach, as you take a look at this series between the Pirates and Tar Heels. This is the 4th straight year that this has been played. It's become an annual thing. I know Cliff Godwin has said that as long as he and you are at your respective institutions, that it will continue. Last year, over 16,000 in attendance at the 3 games combined. Why is this a series that, in your opinion, needs to be played?
At the end of the day, it's in-state. It's two great programs. I have so much respect for East Carolina. For goodness sakes, I was there for a short amount of time. I went to North Carolina West. I know Eastern North Carolina really, really well. people are so passionate about the baseball, and I respect, Cliff's from this state, I'm from this state. You want to give the fans something to be excited about early, and it makes both our teams better. Obviously, the fans enjoy, the series, and there's a lot of bragging rights. But at the end of the day, after this series, we have a ton of baseball left, over 50 games. So I just think it's great for everybody involved. And as long as I'm here, I'm going to keep doing it. Cliff's going to keep doing it. And I'm excited about it and I also love going on the road and playing in a tough environment. And you guys have a really tough environment. They do a great job in Greenville, and it's hard on the opponent. But if you're going to win a championship, you got to win in those environments. So it's good for us to have to do that early.
Yeah, well said. And I know it's certainly great for college baseball, not only within the state, but nationally. You look over the last several seasons, the Pirates and Tar Heels are consistently in the top 15 and hosting regionals. And these are the types of series that, really, create that interest for the game.
Oh, no doubt about it. You get to see great players, great competition. You hope the weather holds up. Now we have it back with the neutral game in Durham. We like to keep it there, which is awesome. Great park, a lot of history. So you literally do the home neutral home, kind of like Clemson in South Carolina. And I think it's fabulous. We're all excited about it. I know everybody on both sides are excited about it. I just have to get down there today and remind our guys that we have a really tough team that was in the Super Regional last year in Kansas State, and make sure we're focused on that first.
No doubt. Well, Coach Forbes, we really appreciate the time today, and we look forward to having you back on down the road.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me. Have a great day. Yes,
sir. That is North Carolina head coach Scott Forbes. We appreciate his time today on deck as we take a look at the Pirates' 4-game week. If you missed our conversation with first-year head coach of Campbell, Chris Marks, go back and check that out. And we'll talk to you soon here on Jungle Tales. But be sure to follow us on social media, on X and Instagram at Jungle Tales Pod. And you can find us on Spotify, YouTube, and Facebook by simply searching Jungle Tales, a Pirate Baseball podcast. But for North Carolina head coach Scott Forbes, I'm Bubba Rosenbaum. You've been watching and listening to On Deck, and we'll talk to you soon. Go Pirates.